Finally, sanitation. Um, we all know high touch surfaces. One thing that's really important though when you're disinfecting is you want to use an EPA approved disinfectant, and this is for the safety of your employees. And another important tip is you want to ensure that you use the product correctly, and that includes leaving it on the surface for a certain period of time. In order for the disinfectant to actually kill pathogens, it has to be in contact with them for usually at least a minute, depending on the product. So linked here on the slide are resources that you can use to figure out what the proper length of time for your disinfectant is. So make sure that you're training your employees on contact time and how to use these properly and safely. And finally, hand washing. Again, this is one of those super basic but um, really important safety tips. And one thing I want to point out here is that gloves do not replace hand washing. So if you're using gloves, you still need to wash your hands before and after, and treat your gloves as though they're dirty. So that's something important to note for hand washing. And then finally, some best practices. One thing that's really important is employees need to be taking these precautions not just at work, but also at home. So it's really important that you make sure that your employees know why you're taking these precautions and how they should implement it when they leave the workplace, because that's important for making sure that we don't spread COVID-19 in the community or in the workplace. Another important tip that's often overlooked is discouraging carpooling. And this is kind of interesting. At the beginning of the pandemic, the meatpacking industry had a lot of issues with spread of COVID-19 among their employees. And so they implemented a lot of safety controls, like the ones that we just talked about, to try and minimize the spread in the workplace, but they were still having lots of infections. And they were able to trace it to carpooling. So try to discourage carpooling among your employees. If they do need to carpool, have them look at this California Department of Public Health guidance on ride sharing, linked on this slide. It just gives tips to try and minimize the risk of spreading infection while carpooling. And then finally, and really important, is promote the flu vaccination within your workplace. It's really important, since COVID and flu are going to be going around this season, to try and minimize the strain on the healthcare system. A flu vaccine will not prevent COVID, but it will prevent the flu, and we don't want the flu to be spreading around as much this season. Okay. A last quick tip is there are posters available from the county, so you can contact them if you would like free posters.